Got one more for you, though. I just I just want to know, right? When will these people be punished? They need to be severely punished too, especially for playing a guy like LaMichael P. Ryan last slate with 6 active running backs for the Jets. 6 active running backs. LaMichael P. Ryan stat line: 2 carries, 10 yards, and he falls into the end zone. Telling you, I'm losing my mind. I am losing it with these bad chalk plays getting bailed out. Now, Isaiah Likely, the slate before, he was just overowned, right? He was a good play, but he would have been just think about this: 15 snaps, 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Trey McBride Sharks, 30 snaps, ran a route in over 20 of those. No catches, and he's a phenomenal pass catcher. I'm not over that, guys. I am not over that. Now, full game is what, like 70 snaps on average? Likely played 15, so Likely played probably like less than a quarter of a game at high ownership. 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, if you run that game back again and he plays 15 snaps every single time, on average, he's probably getting what? 1, 2 catches? But 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Just whatever piece of chalk I fade, guaranteed to nuke the slate. Michael P. Ryan, worst play of the slate at his ownership, 2 carries, 1 touchdown. So hopefully bad chalk plays do not bail people out for week 3 of the preseason. That would be very, very much appreciated. But yeah, guys, before we talk about this 2-game slate, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I do cover content for DraftKings, NBA Top Shot, Prize Picks, all that good stuff. The sponsor of this video is Prize Picks. If you want to check them out, you can use my code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. But a very, very good NFL preseason for me over on Prize Picks, up over $2,000. Hoping to keep that rolling here for the last week of the preseason. And if you guys are interested in more in-depth content, you can check out my Patreon for every single update. I post anything I see over on Patreon, live streams, player pools. You can ask me questions in the Discord. A lot of information there. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. Link down below. But let's recap my lineup here from last night. So last night I did sneak in the cash and the low stakes stuff. It was a slate where the skill position players didn't look great really outside of the Jets. We knew the Jets were the most thin at wide receiver. They had 7 available wide receivers, but only really 5, played a majority of the game. But yeah, Ritter played a lot less than we all thought. It was annoying because we just didn't have confirmation how much Falcons starters were going to play before lock. Falcons beat writers are awful. We never got news, and then after lock, I'm watching the game, and we have reports that, Mariota and Ritter are both going to play 20 to 25 snaps. Sweet. So he put a lot less than people thought. Streveler was very solid. He looks good. He should definitely be the third string quarterback, in my opinion, on the Jets. Zonovan Knight was a bit more popular than I thought. I did not think he's going to be that popular. He got more snaps than LaMichael P. Ryan, but again, P. Ryan chalk fell into the end zone. Koo was good. The Jets defense was great. Falcons defense, not as much. It was looking, I was getting really pissed too. Going into the fourth quarter, you had, once again, no sacks, no turnovers. I'm like, I just cannot with the defenses. But then the Jets defense did score, and then you did have a Falcons pick. But that was a recap there. I was looking at ownership in the high stakes. It's kind of dumb, but everyone just played this chalk lineup at high stakes. Ritter, White, Streveler, Koo, Falcons, Jets, and ended up winning. The winning lineup, even worse lineup, with Michael Pirine in it with all chalk. So, yeah, that was the type of slate it was. Just a pretty gross one, right, with both teams being very deep at the skill position. But enough of the recap. Again, let's talk about this slate. And let's first go over some news that we do have. So for the 49ers, we know that Trey Lance and the starters will play about a half, or at most a half. We know the Packers are once again resting their veterans. And then the Texans plan to play their starters a lot more in this final preseason game. Don't know specifics yet, but we should get that clarity before lock. And then I haven't seen anything in the Chiefs yet. I never, ever, ever, ever trust Andy Reid. But I was looking at the games from last year. I think Mahomes played like a quarter and a half last year. He had 117 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 3 of the preseason. So we'll see. But whatever Andy Reid says, I just have zero trust in him. All right, so let's start with the quarterback position. And looking at Green Bay, so obviously we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers. So you should get about a half of Love, a half of Etling. Both do have rushing upside. Love will be a lot more popular than Etling. You saw Etling, I think he had like a 50-yard touchdown run. Oh, that was from last week. Yeah, but the most recent game, I'm pretty sure it was like a 40 or 50-yard Danny Etling rushing touchdown. But yeah, both Love and Etling both look good. I expect both to play about a half. On the Kansas City side, so Mahomes, again, he's going to be in play. But if Andy Reid says the starters are playing 3 quarters or something, I still have no faith in that. So we'll see. I would guess you probably get a quarter to quarter and a half if he plays, which makes him in play. Chad Henne did not play last game. You did see Shane Buechele play a lot. He's a guy that has some rushing upside too, so he's intriguing, and he would look a lot better if Mahomes and the starters do not end up playing in this game. On the San Francisco side, so we know starters are going to play at most a half. Now, that does make Trey Lance firmly in play because of his rushing upside, so do as mentioned, Trey Lance probably will stay away from the backups with that news. And then Houston, we know the starters are going to play more extensively in this game. Last game for Houston, I have it up here somewhere. Where is it? Last game, Davis Mills played 29 of the 64 snaps, so he played a little bit less than half the game. So maybe he does play into the third quarter, which would obviously make him firmly in play as well. All right, running backs. So let's run through running backs for each of these teams. So for Green Bay, again, we're not going to see Jones. We're not going to see Dillon. Kylan Hill's out. There's 3 running backs on this team in Taylor, Goodson, and Williams. Goodson played the most last game. He'll probably be the chalk, or the chalkiest of these 3 running backs, I should say. So he played 32 of the 63 snaps. He played about half the game. Patrick Taylor played 18 snaps, and then Dexter Williams just got mop-up duty once again, playing 13 snaps. So Goodson going to be, the chalk. Still a little bit interested in Taylor. He didn't play as much as I would have liked last game, and Williams kind of got the mop-up duty there. For Kansas City, it's hard for me to feel confident with skill position guys just because they really spread it out last game. So taking a look at Kansas City in their most recent game, you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 running backs play. No one played more than 18 snaps. Derek Gore played 18. So just running through these snaps, McKinnon played 7. Derek Gore played 18. Ronald Jones 9. CEH 8. TFD played 11. Pacheco played 15. Early played 10. So, yeah, it's not great here for Kansas City. Again, depending on how much the starters are going to play, you can maybe look at some of these top-end guys, but probably my least favorite team to target running backs. On the San Francisco side, so we know the starters are going to get about a half. Elijah Mitchell probably doesn't play in this game. They said he expect him to be ready for week 1, but I don't think they'll push it with him. We don't know that for sure. If he misses, I would think that Jeff Wilson Jr. gets to start. Now, taking a look at the snap counts last game for San Francisco, they did play 4 running backs, Hasty, Sermon, Mason, and TDP. You did not see Wilson out there, but would expect Wilson to get some run here. So he would definitely be viable. And with the starters news, kind of just downgrades the rest of these backs. And again, Sermon, TDP, Hasty, and Mason, making them all a little bit trickier to prioritize. And finally, Houston. So Houston last game, I kind of knew that, the week 1 snap counts for Royce Freeman was an outlier. But once again, the people that went back there got bailed out. He had a couple catches and ended up having a decent game in limited snaps. But they really, really spread it out. Houston running backs, no one played more than 18 snaps. It was Dare Ogunbowale that actually played the most. Yeah, it's as far as snaps go for this game, again, starters, probably looking to more a guy like Marlon Mack, maybe Rex Burkhead. But I think the top 3 guys would probably be all in play. Again, we don't know specifics yet and how much exactly the Houston starters are going to play, but that's probably where I would look. Moving on to wide receiver. So I'm expecting a similar situation here for Green Bay. One thing I wanted to mention here too. So I just found out, apparently on Twitter, you pronounce his name Dobbs. It's not Romeo Dubes. It's Romeo Dobbs, but it's spelled D-O-U-B-S. What in tarnation? Can someone make some sense out of that for me? I mean, that literally makes no sense. But, again, they played, I think it was 6 wide receivers last game for Green Bay. And, 6 wide receivers played with Dobbs once again scoring a touchdown. He played 29 snaps. Rodgers, Winfrey played the most, playing over 40 each. And then Toure played 33 snaps. The back end guys didn't get a ton of run. Fulgham played 11. Hyman played 9. So, I think, Dobbs, Rodgers, Winfrey, Toure, all probably your best bets there. Those are the guys that played the most last game. Fulgham, again, he signed right before that game, so maybe he gets a little bit more work in this game. But I think him and Hyman will probably be my least favorite targets. So then we'll keep an eye on Danny Davis as well. He did not play last game. If he plays, that would just be one more body added to the mix. For Kansas City, wide receiver, again, kind of like running back. There wasn't a lot that stood out. They played a lot of guys last game. So you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide receivers play. Watson was pretty productive with the starters. He played 22 snaps. It was him, MVS, and some Sky Moore that got run with the starters. But as I said, there's just not a lot that stands out. Unless we get even if we do get confirmation starters are going to play more than last game, I still don't trust it because it's Andy Reid. So you can look to these starters like MVS, like Sky Moore, like Watson. We'll keep an eye on Hardman too. He missed last game. If he's going to be available, expect him to get some run at the starters too. But probably would be more the top end guys for Kansas City that we're looking to. Powell, the bench, the guy farther down the depth chart would be the one I will mention. He's played the most out of all these back end wide receivers. So you could maybe pair him with a Shane Buechele if you wanted to. All right, San Francisco. So last game, again, you didn't see any of the starters, but we are expecting them to play a round and a half. So they did play 8 wide receivers last game. But again, that was without Samuel and Ayuk. So I do think both the starting wide receivers here are firmly in play if they get about a half. So both Debo and Ayuk, I think, are totally fine. If you wanted to look to more of the back end guys, Danny Gray and Malik Turner played a lot last game, but I would expect those snaps to go down with the starters expected to play around a half. And then finally, Houston. So Houston, another team that ran a decent amount of wide receivers last game. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wide receivers. And that was with no Brandon Cooks. Would think Cooks plays in this game, but waiting that confirmation. So with starters expected to play more, I think Cooks and Nico Collins probably being the preferred options. If you wanted to look to a more back-end wide receiver, I was just going to see if there's anyone that really stood out. Chris Moore played the most. He played 32 snaps. So maybe him. But I think more of the starters would be where I would look. And if we get some clarity on how much exactly they're going to play, that would be nice going into lock. And then finally, the tight end positions for Green Bay. Taking a look at tight ends, they ended up playing, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tight ends. DeGuara only played 12 snaps, which was a little bit disappointing after week 1 where he played, I think it was 30 snaps. Lise Mack played 30 snaps, but he only ran a route in 11. Tyler Davis was the guy that played the most. He played, not the most, but he ran a good amount of routes compared to snaps. He played 24 snaps, ran a route on 12 of those. So I think he is at least intriguing. DeGuara, if we get confirmation that he's going to play more, I would have a little bit of interest in. On the Kansas City side, you can obviously look to Kelsey if the starters do play. And he played about a quarter last game, and a quarter of Travis Kelsey could be better. He played 10 total snaps. That could be better than most of the tight ends on this slate. Joe Fortson caught 2 touchdowns. I'm guessing that ownership will be inflated. And then you also had Noah Gray play a bit too. So Fortson, again, it'll be interesting to see what his ownership is after catching 2 touchdowns. I think it was Jody. They have it listed as Joe on where I'm looking at snap counts. But yeah, it's Jody Fortson. That's what I thought. Either way, though, Kelsey, obviously intriguing. If the starters do end up resting, then you can look to guys like Gray and Fortson. But if Fortson is going to get all the ownership, let's say the starters rest and Fortson's going to get all the ownership, I would rather go to Noah Gray. But knowing my luck, Fortson will once again catch 2 touchdowns to bail out the Slappies. All right, moving on to San Francisco. So San Francisco, again, starters did not play. You saw a good amount of run for Hudson, who played 36 snaps, ran a route in 22 of those. Dwelly played 29 snaps as well, but would expect to see George Kittle in this game. And if that's the case, if we're going to get about a half of George Kittle, that makes him a pretty good option here. The back-end tight ends, again, look a little bit tougher to get to with the news that the starters are going to play around a half. Again, if you wanted to target a back-end guy, probably still would be Hudson, but I'm not as confident with the snaps in this game. And finally, Houston. So Houston, taking a look at snaps last game, they played 4 tight ends. You saw Brevin Jordan played the most. He played 22 snaps. And I believe he is listed as the top the Houston Texans tight ends. Yeah, he's technically the number 1 tight end, followed by Pharaoh Brown right now. Brown, let's see, did he play that last game? He did not play in that last game, but he did participate in practice on Monday, so I think that leaves him a chance to play. So probably looking to more of the top-end guys with the news that the starters are going to get more run here for Houston. And then as far as defense goes, so again, what we know right now is we know San Francisco starters are going to play. We know Houston starters are going to play. We don't know about Kansas City yet. We know Green Bay are playing their backup. So I think your safest bet is going to be the Chiefs defense with the news that the Packers are once again resting all their main guys. If we get news that the Chiefs are resting the starters too, then maybe you can look to the Packers. 49ers and Texans defense aren't out of play, but they don't look as good with starting offenses expected to play a decent chunk in this game. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. Again, if you have been enjoying the content, just make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you do know when I upload and go live. But I hope you guys all have a great rest of your night, and I will see you all in the next video.